Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you had an incredible week and you've got incredible plans for the May long weekend coming up. As you can see, we've got darling kitty cat boy here today. Oh, yeah, okay. So, for those of you that don't know, May is Celiac Awareness Month. Now, if you don't know what celiac disease is, it is when you ingest gluten, so it's a protein found in rye, wheat, oats, and barley, and your immune system responds to that and attacks. So your body is attacking itself, which is why it's called an autoimmune disease. Now, I was diagnosed about 1.5 years ago, and I've been eating gluten-free for about 2.5 years. So I'm no pro, but I have a general idea of what I'm doing. Now, when I first got sick and when I first was diagnosed and started trying to, get better, I Googled as much as I possibly could, but I still felt like there weren't a ton of resources out there on the internet. So that's why I wanted to sit down today and compile a list. All right, and without further ado, let's get into this. I want to make one thing super duper clear. I'm not a doctor. This is all my own personal opinion. If you are sick, go see a doctor and take everything I say with a grain of salt. Everybody is different. Everyone's gonna react differently, and what works for me might not work for you. So always make sure you're talking with your doctor about these things. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I have an episode, it can range from being not too bad, super manageable, to a week-long ordeal. Now, if it's manageable, the worst it'll usually get is I get blisters on my hands, which is the weirdest thing ever, but it's what it is. So I'll get the blisters and I'll just get like an upset stomach and it feels like it's really, really full, like I've eaten too much. On the other hand, or other side of the spectrum, we have the week-long ordeal. I will be exhausted for a week, 2 weeks. I will be sick for a couple days, sweats and chills, and just feeling so sick. And it does take me quite a while to get back on my feet. And so I want to make this video. I would love to throw together everything that's helped me with the okay days and the really bad days, and maybe I can help out some of you that are experiencing the same thing. So the first thing I do when I start feeling like my stomach's getting a bit upset and I'm fairly certain that I've had some gluten is I take charcoal. And I know this isn't for everybody, but for me, this really, really works. So what I do is I usually take 2, sometimes 3 capsules, and they're really big. And I have the issue where I cannot swallow pills. So I have to hide it in a spoonful of applesauce or yogurt and then swallow it as quickly as I can without thinking about it. Otherwise, I will gag it back up. There you go, fun fact about me. So I find what the charcoal helps with is the bloating, which I get real bad. It's not cute. As well as just the uncomfortable indigestion type feeling. I don't know if there's any sort of, we'll call it scientific evidence behind charcoal working, but for me, works a treat. Now, the second thing I do is 2 Motrin and 2 Tylenol. I wound up in the emergency department with gluten pains one day. We thought I had appendicitis or some other abdominal issues. We went to the emergency room. They told me I had gas and told me to take 2 Motrin and 2 Tylenol and sent me on my way. I was not thrilled, but that's another story for another day. So yes, what I do, 2 Motrin, 2 Tylenol. Seems like a lot, and you could probably take out a rhinoceros with that. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So that one's a little hit or miss, but for me, I would much rather take it so I know I have something, and then if it doesn't get rid of the pain, it'll at least take the edge off a little. So, third thing I do, this might be a little bit TMI, and I apologize, but if we're talking about celiac disease and the gut, not always a pretty thing, so I apologize about that. But third thing I always do, no matter what, is they're called Gas-X pills, and what they essentially do is they help with gas. I don't know about you, but when I ingest gluten, my tummy gets so big that if I'm sitting with my legs flat, my stomach will rest on the top of my thighs, and that is not normal for me. So you can imagine how tight and painful and just icky that feeling is. So what I do is I take the recommended dose of extra strength Gas-X pills, and it helps me burp, which is gross, but when you think about it, could be worse. Okay, and number 4, 5, I think, I will take Tums and Pepto-Bismol and Gravol. So I get crazy bad heartburn if I lie down. It is the worst feeling ever, and you just get that acidy feeling in your, all the way up in your throat, your chest. It's gross. So the Tums help with that. The Pepto helps with absolutely everything. I have a bottle and I take 2 glugs, which is not the recommended serving, so please don't do that. That's just what I do. And the other thing is the Gravol. I get super nauseous, and I can spend a very long time getting sick continuously, so I usually try and take the Gravol right away to stop any sickness as well, because I'm usually in so much pain I have a really hard time sleeping. The Gravol we get is one that makes you sleepy, so I usually take 2 of those. Sometimes I'm lucky and it will knock me out. If it doesn't knock me out, it'll hopefully help with any of the nausea. Okay, so I think we're on to number 5 now, and one of the weirdest symptoms I've ever experienced with ingesting gluten is the crazy amount of hunger. So if I ingest gluten and then I get sick about 3 days later and my small intestine is damaged and my body's having a hard time taking in nutrients, it does make sense for me to be a little bit hungrier if it's difficult for my body to bring in the things it needs to live. So I always have little things like peach cups, the sugar-free ones, the little diced peaches and crackers and fruits, and sometimes it's not always the most nutrient-dense food, but if it's something I can ingest and keep down, I don't really care, and I do find myself eating probably 3 to 4 times more what I would normally eat in a day or a week, especially after I've eaten gluten. Now, this tip may or may not be for everyone. I know for me it's about 50-50 for working or making it worse, but that is a hot beanbag. Now, whenever I have an episode, I get really bad back pain that wraps around my lower back, as well as obviously my stomach hurts really bad and it's really bloated. So sometimes if the back pain is really bad, I'll put the heating bag on my back rather than my stomach. Sometimes if my back's not too bad, but my stomach's big, I'll put it on my stomach, obviously. The only issue I've ever had with that is sometimes you get sweats and chills. Adding a super hot compress onto your body when you're going through your sweat phase of being sick is the worst feeling in the world and can make it feel a lot worse. So if you are one of those people, just be mindful when you're using it and how you're using it, because it can either make you feel a whole lot better or, in my case, a whole lot worse. Now, this is one of my all-time favorite tips, mostly because it tastes so good. I love drinking kombucha. Now, if you don't know what kombucha is, what's the best way for me to describe this? I always call it fermented mushroom juice, which sounds disgusting, and I promise you, if you've not had it, don't listen to how I'm describing it, because it's so much better. But because it is fermented, it has a lot of probiotics in it, which is really good for gut health. So after I've had an episode, or even during an episode, what I'll do is I'll have a little kombucha on hand, and I will just sip that, keep it refrigerated obviously when you're not drinking it, but just sipping that throughout my episode. I find it does help a little bit, though that could all just be in my head, but for me it does help. I hope you guys found this video super helpful. I know when I was first getting sick and first diagnosed, I would have absolutely loved to have a video like this, because while there were a lot of resources out there telling me, you know, what was wrong with me, there weren't many resources out there telling me how I could fix it or how I could make myself more comfortable, because unfortunately with celiac disease, once it's in your system, there's really nothing you can do about it. And I know for me that's something I've struggled with for a really long time, is accepting that, okay, this is how it is, and then just learning to roll with it, I guess, would be a good way to put it. So I hope you guys found this video super, super helpful, and if you are celiac or you know anyone that's celiac, let me know in the comments down below, and if there's any celiac related videos you would like me to upload, I will be doing that for the rest of May. I think we have, what, 2 more weeks? 1 more week? I don't know what day it is anymore. So I hope you guys have an incredible Friday, an incredible weekend, and I can't wait to see you here all next Friday. Take care. Mwah.